He came to WSMI and to this area in 1978. He is currently the station manager of tele-broadcasting stations for WSMI, WAOC, and W295BQ.
Yes. That's called a translator.
Okay.
I don't even want to get into it. It's a weird FCC thing. Okay.
And he's been with WSMI since 1978. He's been a member of the Raymond Park District for 30 years. Also, he is a member of the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. And Mr. Lofty, please stand. We're honored to have two members in the Illinois High School Basketball Coaches Association today. That's a hard Hall of Fame to get in, and these two gentlemen are well deserved of it. The first thing that sticks out with me with Terry, every time I meet him, no matter where it's at, the first thing that comes up to me says, "How you doing, my friend?" He always says, "My friend." And that's what he's been to many coaches and many athletes and many children down through the years. The thing that we were talking about earlier, which I consider probably more important than anything else, and I think he does now too, is that he is now in 1 year cancer survivor. So at this time, I will turn our speaker, stand, and microphone over to Mr. Terry Todt.
Well, let's see how this thing works. Is this working at all? Nah, it's not working. So I'm just going to talk like this. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me. If you can't hear me, stick your hand up. And again, if you can't hear me, you can stick your hand up anyway. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Many thanks to Mr. Hanks, Bill Hanks, Coach Lofka, Mike Cox, gentlemen who I have had the pleasure of working with, knowing, very dear friends, classy guys, people who you like to hang around. This is a wonderful event. I'm from the village of Raymond, Illinois. I've been a lifelong resident. I live in the house my folks bought in 1959. I'm a little town guy. And I believe that some of the best things in the world, the best things in our country, come out of small towns. Okay? And that includes the educational process, the way we care about people, the way that we care about our friends and neighbors. And this sort of event is very, very important. I work closely with the Kiwanis Club in Raymond. Earl Sarles, who, if you listen to the radio station, maybe you know, Earl is 85 years old. He owns the grain elevator, which is 2 blocks from my house. He does the morning markets at 9:30 every morning. But more importantly, Earl reads from his mom's diary.
Yes.
And when Earl doesn't read from his mom's diary, and he reads from his diary, I get phone calls complaining, say, "Oh, we want to hear Mom's diary." So you call up Earl and you tell, I'm not going to call up Earl. Earl's on the Kiwanis Club, and they've given my park over $70,000 over the last 20 years, and I'm not going to take him off. So if you want Earl to read from his mom's diary, you call Earl and have him read from his mom's diary. But we do work very, very closely with the Raymond Harville Kiwanis Club, because when you take on the endeavor of building a park, and that was one of my passions. It made me a politician. I had to run for the office, and you know what? Everybody that's ever run for the park district has never been opposed. It's one of those things like, "Oh, we got you now. We're never going to let you go." The first meeting I was at the park district meeting. The reason I got on the park board is because I think we needed to upgrade our facilities and expand our facilities, and that was what we've been able to do through a lot of hard work and effort. But these sort of gatherings put on by the Kiwanis just goes to show how much people care. So bigger towns. Collinsville, to me, those are great big cities. I'm from a town that had 850 people. and I know virtually everybody. So it's a little bit different situation. It was an absolute pleasure to work for and work with Mr. Hanks and Mr. Lofka and Mr. Cox over the years, to broadcast games, to actually officiate some games for them. These two gentlemen, I've never met two nicer coaches in my entire life. I'll just be honest with you right now. They are classy people. I just wish more coaches, more parents would emulate them, because it's very, very important. A year ago, 1 year ago today, I was in the University of Cincinnati Hospital. On October 23rd last year, they took a chunk of cancer the size of a rugby football out of my stomach. It had been there for probably 10 years. It was a slow-growing, low-grade piece of cancer. I can't even pronounce the darn thing. 1 in 1 million people get it. It's that rare. When my family doctor discovered what it was, he said, "Man, I've never seen this thing before. I guess we can go cut it out." Well, that's probably a good idea, but how are we going to go about cutting it out? Well, my wife and my sister-in-law got together and started punching in information on the internet. This was on a Friday afternoon in early September last year. We found out about this. Late that Friday afternoon, my wife came across the website of Dr. Jeffrey Sussman at the University of Cincinnati Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio. She fired off an email, "Help my husband." 2 hours later, Dr. Sussman, on his personal cell phone, called back and said, "You get your butt here Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. That's when I see patients, and your husband has an appointment." Yeah, he personally called back. So we went to Cincinnati, we talked over the situation, had surgery on October 23rd, was in intensive care for 5 days, was in the hospital for exactly 4 weeks, did not eat a thing for 4 weeks. I went in at 265, came out at 221 pounds. And the reason I couldn't eat is because I had this NG tube in me, a nasal gastro tube. It went into the nose and down to the stomach and pumped out bile. So I couldn't eat anything, okay? And you think, well, that's not so bad, because they put the tube in when I was knocked out. Except the darn thing fell out about 3 or 4 times, and they had to put it in while I was awake. And I'm telling you, that was the most unpleasant thing I think I've ever had in my life. They grease that thing up with lidocaine, and then they stick it in your nose and try to ram it down your throat. I'm going, holy mackerel. Oh, man. Fortunately, they had this young guy who was just becoming he was a brand new doctor, and his name was Kevin. Kevin was the NG specialist, and he came in and stuck that thing in about 2 seconds. I said, "Kevin, if it ever falls out again, you're the guy I want." So we got through it all. My wife was absolutely great. She's my best friend. Without her, I couldn't have done it. Without the prayers of thousands of people, I couldn't have done it. To this day, almost every day at the post office, I see somebody, "We're praying for you, Gary." I said, "You keep doing that, because I need all the help I can get."
Amen.
I really do. And it goes just beyond the cancer. It goes beyond the cancer. It goes, we need to take care of everybody. We need to take care of each other. We need to care about each other. And that's what got me interested in the line of work that I'm in, to be honest with you. I got a transistor radio for Christmas in 1963. I listened to the Cardinal games in 1964, the year they won the World Series and beat the Yankees. I thought Harry, Carey, and Jack Buck had the greatest jobs in the world. They got to sit there and broadcast baseball games and get paid for it. Holy mackerel! This is, only in America can this happen. This is great. So from the time I was in 3rd grade, I wanted to be a broadcaster. A couple years later, I upgraded, got me an FM, AM radio, one with FM, and I started listening to a good friend of ours, Johnny Crawley, who was at WMSI radio for 40 plus years. He was doing high school sports broadcasts, and I fell in love with Johnny and the high school basketball games, and I said, gosh, this is what I got to do. This is what I want to do with my life. I want to be part of this. So everything from the time I was in grade school, everything I did, it led me to Lakeland Community College in Mattoon, to the radio program. I actually got hired full-time before I ever graduated out of that community college. Worked at a station right in the middle of Amish country between Sullivan and Arthur, Illinois, and Eastern Illinois. I mean, the station was right smack dab in the middle of Amish country. We had an Amish house owned just a quarter-mile away from the radio station. And in the March 1978 Easter ice storm, the ice was so thick it crashed the 300-foot tower, and the big red beacon on the top of the tower was in the lobby. Yeah. Holy mackerel. Well, obviously I was out of a job. Fortunately, it's amazing how these things work together. Fortunately, there's an opening at WMSI. And in May of 1978, Hayward Talley, who passed away just 13 or 14 months ago, he put the station on the air in 1950. Hayward Talley hired me as a broadcaster. And Hayward was a generous man. He was a Rotarian. Rotary, a lot of what Kiwanis does. Gentleman of all gentlemen, good businessman. I sold him, I guess the one thing that I sold him on was the fact I said, look, Hayward, here's the deal. If you hire me, I'm going to act like this is my radio station because I've got to buy myself into this thing 100% or I can't work here. And I got to have access to you so that if there's a problem, we can deal with it. If there's something I think we've done well, we can compliment each other. If you give me that access, I'm willing to work for you. He said, okay. And you know what? That was a wonderful relationship. Because anytime I had a problem, I knocked on his door and walked in. Anytime we did something that I thought was terrific, I knocked on his door, walked in, and said thank you, and complimented him. He was a tremendous individual. We lost him about 14 months ago. We lost his wife about 3 months ago. So it's been a period of transition for us at the radio station in the last year and a half. The two sons are in charge now, and Talley Broadcasting is alive and well. I still have my job. We're still doing well. We're still serving Mid-Illinois. That's what WMSI stands for. We serve Mid-Illinois. That's what it was all about. My job is to serve you. My job is to entertain you. My job is to inform you. And my job is when we get to do a ball game on the radio, which is what I love doing, and I'm excited because Tuesday night's my first basketball broadcast of the season. We hopefully build memories. You hear so many things, negative things about children, young people. I think it's good when we can brag on them when they do something well on a basketball court or a football field. And a lot of people badmouth sports, but I'm telling you right now, it's just a different classroom. It teaches life lessons, it teaches discipline. And what do kids need? At any age, at any level, at any era that we've lived in, we've all needed discipline and somebody to lead us. Okay? High school sports is a good thing if you have the right people running it. That man right there, they knew what they were doing. I'm telling you right now, two of the best right there. These guys are terrific. Role models for young coaches. They should sit down and just talk to these guys for 3 hours. So, that's kind of the professional background. I've been at WMSI since May of 1978. I'm sports director, program director. Basically, I'm the guy that kind of cleans up the stuff, okay? When something goes wrong, somebody calls in sick, I'm the guy that has to fill in or find somebody to work. I've done virtually every aspect of the radio station except actually work on the insides of the transmitter and sell advertising. Two parts of the station I don't want to be involved in. But everything else, I've been involved in. I've climbed into the trunk of an automobile before to prove how big the trunk is. And with a wireless mic and broadcast from the inside of a car, the trunk of a car. Now, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but you know what? Somebody paid advertising for it, so yeah. That's the kind of thing we do. The thing I like to say about working at WMSI is that it beats working for a living. Because they actually pay you to do this stuff, you know? They really do. And we usually have a very, very good time. And I want to brag on one of our Bunker Hill guys, Tim Mize, graduate of Bunker Hill High School, Eastern Illinois University. Went to Eastern when Tony Romo was quarterback at Eastern, okay? Tim is now a full-time farmer. Still works part-time for me, but Tim was one of the best full-time employees I ever had in my nearly 40 years at the radio station. You know why? Because he had a passion for it. And he was young, he was enthusiastic, and I could count on him. Count on him to do anything I needed. If he can't take care of this, he would take care of it. He understood it was about serving others. Not what I wanted, it's what other people needed. That's what it was. And I miss him today. I tell him every once in a while, I say, gosh, Tim, I just wish you were back around here full time. It would make my life so much easier. I'm getting old. Okay? So, my membership on the Raymond Park District, I want to talk to you a little bit about giving back to the community. But before getting into the Park District, I need to go back for that. Next year, and you're going to think I'm a nutcase, and that's okay because I am. Next year is going to be the 50th anniversary of our homemade ballpark called Crawdad Stadium. Okay? When we were kids, we were playing wiffle ball, but we got to the age we wanted to play hardball. We wanted to play real baseball. And of course, when you play real baseball in town, you break windows. And people are going, you can't do that. So the guy that owned the land right across from my house, he owned it, it was just a big field of alfalfa. He said, why don't you boys go out there and put yourself together a ballpark? I said, are you sure you want to let us do that? He said, oh yeah. The only thing is you got to keep it picked up and keep it mowed. You can do anything else you want to out there. I said, Johnny, he was my neighbor. Johnny, are you sure? I said, yeah. Okay. So, 1967 through 1970, we had Crawdad Stadium. We put up a backstop, a scoreboard, built dugouts, dirt base pads, put up a home run fence, and we had men's softball teams coming out practicing at Crawdad Stadium. This was 1967 through 1970. We were kids in grade school, but we loved playing baseball. We played 3 games a day. When it rained, we used a rubber-coated baseball. We played baseball every day. We loved playing baseball. The funny thing is, in 1970, a group of men got together in the village of Raymond and says, well, if these dumb kids can go out here and build themselves a ballpark, maybe we need to have a park district. And hence, the ground was sold, Crawdad Stadium was no more, and it became a Raymond Park. The Park District, of which I'm president, have been part of since for about 30 years. So I have ties to that ground, going back to when it was just an alfalfa field. And we literally had crawdad holes along the fence, along the railroad track, the home run fence. Hence the name Crawdad Stadium. Before there was a park, there was Crawdad Stadium. I have a t-shirt and I wear it every once in a while. People think I'm nuts and they're right, because I am. But we thought that it was important to bring kids together to play ball. Long before Field of Dreams came out, the movie, if you build it, they will come. We built it, and we had 24 kids a day showing up to play baseball. I know that. We loved it. We did a lot of things together. So when I grew up, became an adult, got married, had a family, I wanted to give back to my community, so therefore I became a member of the Park District. Somebody had left the Park District, and of course, sucker, we got you. One vote and you're in. The reason I got on the park board was because I thought we needed more facilities. We had a baseball field that was being shared with soccer, softball. There were discussions, more cussing than discussing, about whose turn it was to use the field and that sort of stuff. And so my goal was, hey, I want to get on the park board. Let's get an Osler grant, a federal grant, a matching grant. Let's expand our facilities and make sure everybody has what they need. Because we need to keep our kids busy. They need something to do. If they're running loose on the streets, they get into trouble. Both parents work nowadays. We need something for them to do. So, after being on the park board, it took me 8 years to get enough backing, find a grant writer, we had a matching grant. We went from one baseball field to a lighted soccer field, a lighted softball field, a huge concession stand. We had it all paid off in 5 years with dinner dances. We later upgraded all the lights, put in new scoreboards, built a new concession stand at the baseball field because I felt our little community and the kids in our community deserve it. And to this day, we have an agreement between the Sports Association, the Park District, and the school district, which I set up back when I was, before I ever got on the park board, or just as I was getting on the park board, that we'll let the high school use our facilities at the park for free. If the school will let the Sports Association use the gymnasium for free to run the basketball and volleyball. That agreement's been in place for 30 years. And everybody's a happy camper. Everybody has an opportunity. It's worked out extremely well. We're very proud of our facility. We host numerous postseason tournaments, regionals, sectionals. We always have games going on. And I'm very proud of the 5 guys that are on the park board, me and the 4 other guys, and the community that got behind it, because we had to raise $95,000 matching money to build this in a town of baseball. We did it. They said, "You're never going to do it, Terry." I said, "You watch it. We're going to do it." And by golly, we did. And we added additional upgrades now in recent years. So we're very proud of giving back to the community. And when through all these years, I donated my time as an official because parents can be crazy at recreational league games. I figured if somebody as tall and as big and as ugly as me was officiating, we probably wouldn't have a problem with parents. And you know what? That's correct. That was a correct assumption. So what I would do is I volunteered my time for about 25 years, officiate every soccer, baseball, basketball, and softball game that there was in the village of Raymond and nearby towns, in fact. But I always had kids work with me so we could keep them involved. And as you know, Coach, we're short on officials. So we try and keep everybody involved. Everybody involved. And the way you do this is say, hey, this is how you give back to the community. Not only is it important to be a member of the team and make the commitment, but you also have to be able to give back to the community. When you're 15 years old and you're playing on a team in the summertime, that's great. But when you're 30 years old and you have a family, you have to give back to the community. That's how we survive. And that's part of the message that I think we've been able to bring to the community, to the village of Raymond, to the Sports Association, and to the Park Board. We did not have a very good reputation as fans. I'll be honest with you. Terrible, terrible thing. Terrible thing. But when I became president of the Sports Association, I grabbed some people that I knew, people of high quality, and we started putting together a plan to change the attitude. The first meetings we ever had were with parents. What was our expectation from them? Our expectation was extremely high from them. And we told them, you will never be kicked out of a ball game by an official because the coaches will ask you to leave first. Okay? This is what we expected. We demand that you treat our opponents as guests. Because without them, you have no game. We're not here to beat their brains in and be mean. We're here to have a competition, which means absolutely nothing when it comes to the safety of the free world. It's just a game. And you know what? It took about 10 years to get that in motion. But I think we've got it in motion. And I think our fans are a lot better for it. And I think our guests who come to town appreciate the fact that we're good hosts. And I think that's why we continue to host a lot of IESA junior high and IHSA high school events, the postseason tournaments. So I'm very proud of that fact. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of quality people to get involved. And it's not me. I'm not the smartest guy. Trust me. I get it. You put good people around you, and good things tend to happen. So that excites me, being part of the Raymond Park history. That's just one way I can give back to the community. And I think another way to give back to the community is the job that I have. We provide a public service. We work for you. We're the kind of business that if we can't get you listening and we can't provide you the information or the entertainment that keeps you tuned in, then we're not doing our job. It's not about what I like. It's about what you like. So we do a little bit of everything. Like I mentioned, we have Earl Sarles at 9:30 in the morning reading from Mom's diary before he reads the markets. But we also have local news and local sports and local farm news. It's very, very important. If we don't keep it local, we don't have a job. And it's very important to keep it local. So many radio stations anymore are automated and run by corporations which really don't care except getting 3% of the audience and making just enough profit to stay on the air. Cali Broadcasting dominates Montgomery and Macoupin County. You have to add up the next 10 stations below us to even come close to our audience. And we do a little bit of everything. Like climbing in the trunks of cars. Okay, it's not the smartest thing to do, but I do. Standing out in the middle of the rain, broadcasting a parade, doing stuff like that. That's what we do. So being able to give back to the community, and one part that I especially like is being involved in sports broadcasting. It's an opportunity to create memories. I've had the good pleasure of broadcasting Coach Loftus 600 and 700 career victories. That was exciting to me. It was very exciting because here's a gentleman who is above reproach. I think the world of it. We get a chance to build memories because 25 years from now, kids are going to come back and at a class reunion and say, "Oh, you remember that? We did this," you know. To this day, and since I've been there for almost 40 years, I've got people coming up. "I remember when you did my game." I'm going, "Okay, but who are you? What year was it? Who were some of your teammates?" Okay. So much has happened over the years, but if we can build memories, we can keep those local ties together. You know, and the great thing about the radio station and how we approach the world of broadcasting sports. If you're a team within Montgomery and Macoupin counties, you're our local team. We don't pull for Litchfield or Hillsborough. We pull for everybody. Okay? You have to shoot it right down the middle. You have to be fair about it. And I think we've been able to do that over the years. In fact, the one person that didn't got fired. We can't have it. We have to be fair about it. So, I've been the luckiest guy in the world. I've had a good childhood, good family life. I've had a job that I absolutely love. My wife has been my best friend. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. and I'm cancer-free. And I was never so scared about anything until except that day that I found out. I thought, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? Well, things got taken care of. And a lot of people prayed. Things fell into place like they were supposed to. And I get to be here today. You're going, oh guys, this guy would shut up. Well, it just depends how long I'm allowed to talk. That's basically my spiel. I can go into a lot of other different things and stir the pot up, and I don't want to do that. I've got a lot of other interests. But if you have some questions, I like to take questions from the audience. Somebody asked me a question about the radio station, about how we operate. Most of you don't know me. I'm just a kid from Raymond that got lucky. Okay? I am. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I live in the greatest country in the world. This is cool. This is great. And I'm positive that good things are going to happen. I try to be at positive force. Okay? So does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Would you be interested in addressing the Buckville City Council? We've got a beautiful sports facility out here, baseball, diamonds, etc. And we can't get together with the sports league and how to operate the doggone thing.
Takes a lot of meeting time. The best thing, having the money to operate solves a lot of problems. When I took over as the president of the Sports Association, we had $600. And it was basically for softball only. What I did was I brought in baseball, I brought in soccer, I brought in basketball. And we formed a sports association that administered all those sports together. That $600, I went out and bought 2 popcorn machines, 2 snow cone machines, the appropriate material to go with it, a catcher's mask, a catcher's mitt, and a chest protector, and we were broke. And they said, okay, Terry, you broke the bank. What are we going to do now? I said, we're going to hold tournaments. It's going to take time, but we're going to have tournaments. So we have tournaments, and let me tell you, if you're going to have tournaments, go with the 5- and 6-year-olds. Because grandmas and grandpas come, and they'll buy the kids anything. You make the popcorn salty, and you put a lot of ice in the Pepsi. So you have your big profit margin. That's how you do it. And you make some money. And you do that for several years. Within 5 years, the Sports Association gave $10,000 to the park district. But that's how you do it. And all the kids in insurance, paid. Uniforms, paid. That's how you do it. You tell them that this is what we can do, this is the goal that we have, and this is how we do it, so who's volunteering? And sometimes you have to go out and convince people to volunteer. But once they volunteer and see the end goal, you have to convince them that there's life at the end of the tunnel. Once you do that, participation is pretty good. I've had good luck with it anyway. And my friends and I, we would be hosts at the tournaments, and I'd bring out all my moldy oldie music, and we'd play music in between innings. And I helped out with the soccer team. The soccer team at Lincolnwood High School in Raymond was about 12 kids, and usually 2 or 3 of them were on academic. Well, couldn't play, put it that way. And I said, it's time to co-op. So I struck up a deal between the Panhandle School Board and the Tacoma School Board, found a coach, and we brought the 2 schools together, and we haven't had a losing season since. That's been about 20 years ago. And what I did was I made a deal with the man that helped out coaching. I said, if you coach, I'll take care of everything else. I'll paint the field. I'll make sure that the lights are working, because we're going to move our games to the nighttime so the parents can come. I'll make sure we have a concession stand. I'll make sure the restrooms are clean. And as an official, anytime I see a good kid playing soccer, I'm going to convince him he needs to go out to the high school soccer team. something that coaches aren't supposed to do, recruit. But I wasn't a coach, so I could recruit. And I said, you're playing for the Lancers. You're going to be on the high school soccer team. You're going to make a great center midfielder. And that's how it worked. And we went from a 4:30 game in the afternoon playing soccer with maybe 2 people in the stands to having about 300 to 400 people at night at our soccer game. Because you know what we did? We made it an event. Played music, played the anthem, we introduced the kids, sang happy birthday to those who had birthdays. We had peewees out there at halftime. We hosted regionals and sectional tournaments, postseason tournaments. One night we had about 1,000 people there on a rainy night with Quincy Notre Dame playing Rochester in the pouring down rain. I was under a tarp running the scoreboard and the PA. And we had 1,000 people. The officials were coming to me because it was at my park. They're going, Terry, we got to get these people pushed back. I said, man, good luck. They love their soccer. Quincy Notre Dame, Rochester, holy mackerel. Did they bring the people? We were going out to West End Food Mart buying more popcorn and pizza. I mean, and this was like halfway through the first half. Holy mackerel. Where did all these people come? And they just stood out in the rain. No umbrellas, they just stood in the rain. They didn't care. What a great time. I mean, it was miserable, cold, and it was wet. But what a great night. We were able to bring soccer and the crowds up to that level. Because people get interested. And when they get interested in kids, good things happen to kids. That's what it's about. It's about taking care of the kids. Everything we do has to be taking care of the kids. Because you know what? I'm getting old and the kids are going to have to take care of me. They are. So we got to hand it over to them. If you want to invite me, I'll come.
You're on.
You know. But I don't know that I have the perfect answer. You just got to get people motivated. Show them that it's a worthy cause. Okay. That's the best thing. Anybody else? Question? Don't be afraid. Yes.
How do you decide? You talked about Mother's Diary. How do you decide the programs that you're going to be having? Are they some individual person's ideas, or does somebody bring you an idea? Or?
For the radio station? Well, first and foremost, everything has to be local, tailored to Montgomery and Macoupin counties. Because you can find music at 10,000 different radio stations across the country. We don't play any music that's any different than other country stations. What we do is we have local news, local obituaries, local sports, local farm news. Hear from a farmer in Macoupin County, Montgomery County, nearby Christian County. We find out what's going on with them. We cover the local events. We're at the 4th of July celebration. We're at the homecoming celebration. We're at the county fair. That's the only thing that distinguishes us from other radio stations. You will not find Bunker Hill Minutemen basketball during the Macoupin County tournament on any other radio station. I guarantee you. You will find it on our radio station. You just won't. So a lot of it is trial and error. We had stuff that worked, and it's still there. We had stuff that didn't work, took it off the air. And you know, what people don't realize is that we're a business. We don't sell shoes or potato chips or Coca-Cola. We sell advertising. Advertising is something you cannot taste, touch, smell, feel, or hold in your hand. It's there and it's gone. You're going, how in the world can you stay in business? Well, the great thing about radio is it's an intrusive medium. And you're going, oh God, that's not horrible. Okay. You cannot drive a car while watching TV. You cannot drive a car while reading a newspaper. You cannot drive a car while you're on Facebook. You can drive a car while you're listening to WMSI. You can mow the grass with your headphones on while listening to WMSI. You can paint the house while listening to the radio station. You can. You can listen to the local sports broadcast of a football game, like we're going to have 2 of them this afternoon. You can do that while you're raking leaves in your yard and burning the leaves. Okay? Boy, that got bad. That's what makes us different. We're an intrusive media. And by repeating commercials, selling advertising at a rate which businesses can afford to get the message out. So even though you're driving kids to school, you hear the message. And I don't know about you, but when kids start talking, little babies start talking, that's pretty exciting, right? I've got grandbabies now. Yeah. And when they start talking and making sentences, that's pretty darn exciting. Well, that's the power of communication. That's the power of the human voice. That's how they learn, by imitating. And we just use an audio technique called radio to spread that. I like going to high schools, and when I talk to classes about radio, and Bill, how much more time? When do I have to shut up? Now? One last one. I like to go to high schools, and they ask me about radio, and I say, here's the neat thing about radio. One of the things that caught my attention early on when I was a kid. Radio travels at the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second. Sound travels at 1,100 feet per second. You see a lightning strike, you count 5, that lightning strike is about a mile away. Okay? If you're sitting at my ballpark in Raymond, at my park, in center field, and I'm broadcasting and I have a crowd mic near home plate, my listeners at home, or in the car, or on the tractor, if I'm doing a baseball game, the listeners will hear the bat hit the ball before you will in center field. That's how fast radio is. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing. Holy mackerel. Radio is so fast that we can send a signal to the moon and back in less than 3 seconds.
How long is WSMI in business? When did it begin?
AM 1540 celebrated its 66th anniversary, November 3rd. WSMI FM, which is now 50,001 FM, came on the air in 1960. WAOX came on the air 16 years ago, 17 years ago next month. And our translator, W295DQ, it's a translator, it's a low power FM station which helps coverage area matches our coverage area of the AM station.
And was it the man Hayward who started? What was his full name?
Hayward Talley. Hayward Leroy Talley.
Say the last name.
Talley, T-A-L-L-E-Y, from Medora.
My late husband, who's been dead for 5 years, worked with him. He came, my husband worked at WOKZ,
Yeah.
and he knew Hayward. And something happened about 8 years ago. There was an article about my husband in the newspaper or what. But Hayward called Clyde to talk to him about that article. And at that time, I think I was doing his dialing because he couldn't see very well anymore. And I think I talked to you
Right.
because, anyway, it's just really, exactly, my late husband really wanted to be in radio, and he was, for I guess, until he was elected mayor of all of them. And so that would have been like 1942 until 60-something, 61 or 62. But I think that Hayward came to WOKZ and that they became friends there. But what my husband really liked best of all, and he had terrible vision, he loved to broadcast games.
Yeah.
You know, like basketball. I don't believe soccer was very lively then.
Oh, no, soccer.
But football and basketball. Those are such good memories. You're just reminding me of him and his whole attitude.
Hayward was a great guy. He was
Yeah.
a great guy. Well, I'm out of time. I'm actually going to, as we say in soccer, in extended time. Probably need to quit. As you can tell, I have a face for radio. So that's why I didn't get into TV. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Hanks. Thank you, Mr. Lofton, Mr. Cox. It's good to see you guys again. And for all of you who are visiting here, I appreciate your attendance.